I told the story many times when my Schwinn bicycle got stolen by my friend Richie D'Angelo. And I see D'Angelo riding it. He was a big kid. He was kind of the Fonz of the neighborhood I grew up in Brooklyn. And, he was the leader of the gang that was, doing things that were maybe a little bit against the grain. He was the guy that was flooding the engine of the humor truck while we robbed the ice cream out of the side. He was the guy that was orchestrating the egg hunts, whenever we, would toss a bunch of eggs through the windows of buses. Always doing stuff like that. Minor criminal activity. So anyway, I see him riding my Schwinn bicycle, and I'll never forget this. The guy looks at me and he says, "Oh, man, the Forrest. If I knew this was yours, I would have never stolen it." Like it was okay to steal somebody else's bike, but I would have never stolen your bike. Well, what are you talking about? Here, take it back. It was great. My mother was very happy about that, but yeah, it's kind of crazy.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
All right, we made it. We made it all the way to a Degenerate Friday here and a 3-day weekend on tap here as it's Labor Day weekend, one of my favorite parts of the entire year, although I used to dread it, as I've mentioned a few times here. Excuse me while I make a little adjustment here. A sagging, drooping microphone stand where, some of you guys probably know this syndrome where as soon as you think you got it up in the right position and all of a sudden, whoop,
There you go.
just drops down a couple of feet there, and all of a sudden, you're looking down into your lap as you're trying to do a show. Anyway, good to be with you on a Degenerate Friday. Jeff DeForest and one Mike Lubitz. And we have an action-packed day for you here today as we'll have many of our Degenerate contingent on tap here today. In fact, the full complement. And also a little bonus play here as Charlie Partridge, our good friend, former head coach at FAU. We got to be friendly with Charlie. He moved on, and he's now on the staff of Narduzzi there at Pittsburgh. They were in action last night. Turned out to be a very entertaining opening to the college football season. As you had the only thing that was a little bit of a spoiler, although I managed to tune this out, was Louis Riddick doing the color analysis a little over the top there. We got to run the ball downhill. That's right. You got to go downhill. As if the field was on a slant. I'm not sure. Is it a level playing field like an essential if you're going to have a sporting event? But anyway, he had him running downhill all night. And it was a seesaw affair with a lot of action, some hard hitting, a pretty good ball game. No, did you watch any Pittsburgh, West Virginia, Lubie? What did you think?
I watched the entire game. And I watched a lot of the Penn State Purdue game. It was interesting to see two quarterbacks who both started at USC, JT Daniels, who's made a very circuitous route to West Virginia, and Kenan Slovis, who was supposed to be the future at USC and now is the present at Pittsburgh. It was a high-scoring affair, which something you don't always see with Pittsburgh because Partridge's defensive lines are always great, but it came down to the wire. Pitt in the end got a pick six, got a hold, and won the game, and we're talking to the victorious coach this morning.
Yeah, that worked out well because it would have been, a little rougher. I mean, he would have still come on anyway, Charlie Partridge, if they lost. But who knows? Maybe Narduzzi calls like a 7 a.m. meeting. But a good start for Penn, who had a real good season last year. And, of course, the defensive front was a standout unit for the University of Pittsburgh and figures to be again. So Charlie's going to join us later on today. The Greek will have his handicapping picks. We're hoping he offers a little more rationale behind them. Is he just reluctant to do that? Does he not want to reveal how he came to these conclusions? Very much like when I knew how to do a trick solution to calculus problems, and I would have the correct answer to all of the test questions, but no work. Zero work, because it was a thing that, oddly enough, with all of the mathematical permutations that you had to do, it was like holy Rene Descartes time to come up with the answer to a calculus problem. There was some Fugazi method that you could get to. Well, you take your age, you multiply it by 2. I mean, it was very Penn and Teller, and you would come up with the right answer. So I knew how to do that, but I didn't know how to do the work, and I would get all the answers right and end up getting like a 25 on the test. And, of course, the comment, which was always, a negative in my educational background, was must show all work. Like, how am I supposed to do that unless I borrowed a paper off the guy in front of me who I copied this off?
Exactly.
He's got the work. What are you talking about? I just took his answer. But no, that was a weird thing. And I would have no idea how to come up with those answers again. But nonetheless, there was a surefire way to come up with the answer to a lot of calculus problems without having to do the work. And it was just a method that was absolutely bizarre. I mean, you would think it had nothing to do with reality. It was like being at a Trump rally. Incredible. But how about Joe coming out swinging, smoking Joe Biden? Pretty good. I mean,
I missed it.
I don't know.
I read the rave reviews. I was watching football all night. I was up till like 11 something watching football. I was like in football fever. So I actually missed this speech. I'll have to see it today. I heard really good things about it. So good for him. I like that he's being aggressive. Good for him.
He took a couple of swings. I don't know how impactful they are coming from a guy who's got the shakes.
Whatever.
I mean, literally, he looks like he's barely able to stand up. And, the shots of him walking to the podium are, making you think, well, maybe it's time to move on here. Find some guy that has a little bit of life left in the system there. Not to say that he's going to check out anytime soon. Although somebody did have Gorbachev in the Deadpool. Yeah, somebody hit it with Gorbachev. Just started. Well, it turns over, right away. I mean, you get a month's worth of the proceeds there, which is like a few grand, but no. So it's still worth hitting. But I need to hit it once. At this point, I have a pretty good investment in there. I'm probably down like a dime on this whole thing. So that's kind of ugly. Anyway, Labor Day weekend used to be double headers in baseball. For me, I always loved it when I was working at Shea. Guaranteed double header on maybe even both days, Saturday and Monday. Got a chance to make some extra money when I was a kid selling souvenirs at Shea, and that doesn't happen anymore. But it is kind of a turning point into the sporting season. We're seeing just a huge college football schedule, a couple of marquee matchups, in addition to a lot of potential blowouts. And we're a week away, less than a week away right now from the start of the NFL season. Yeah, baseball winding down. Mets over the Dodgers yesterday, so the Mets kind of sustaining the same, kind of movement they've had going all season long, and actually looking real good with DeGrom back in the rotation. So, very, very interesting all the way around. Los Marlins, of course, you plug in. Did they win that game yesterday? I don't know. Oh, what happened there? Tampa Bay Rays. Every time I tune in, they're losing by 5 runs. So
I think they lost.
I don't even bother flicking the games on anymore.
Didn't play yesterday, so I guess that they didn't lose. I guess you can't lose if you don't play.
They didn't play yesterday? Okay.
There's no result for the Marlins yesterday, so I guess that's a win.
It's a victory, man. Thank God we weren't involved in the drive for 75 or any of that stuff with Deal Volkswagen. Oh, my God. Did we bury those poor people? I mean, with those campaigns. And they were more than willing. We won one time out of, I guess we did it 3 years.
Yes.
We got a lot of mileage out of it. And it was the only way to bring up any discussion about the Marlins on the air. And people sort of were riding our coattails to see. I mean, it was a modest number, right? We're in 75 games, and yet it was life and death in each season, except the one where they finally did it when they won like 25 games in that 60-game season. I think the over-under was 25, and they won like 30. Yeah, it was unbelievable. The line makers, look, you got to applaud them right out of the chute there. No wonder it's tough, people. No wonder it's very easy for FanDuel to own its own television network now as they took over TVG. And it's very awkward for the people there. Whenever a station identifies itself, rebrands itself, very tough for the guys. They're always thinking you're going to say the old call letters or this or that or the old phone number, and then everybody's going to get into conniptions. And we used to take that stuff fairly seriously. And you felt badly, right? When you called the station, they renamed it from the Sports Animal to First in Sports or whatever it was. Always some clever marketing campaign. But FanDuel took over TVG, and down on the bottom of the screen now, a constant portrayal and depiction of various odds in games, although very difficult to read. I don't know if it's my vision going or just the graphics that they were using. But, you're looking going, what the hell is that? You can tell it's like Chicago -3, but then you really don't know what the rest of it is. But the guys, the people, the staff that was on the air, 23 years, they've been saying one thing. Now, all of a sudden, well, you know what? We're something else. And it's great. Proliferation of gambling. But quickly, will people be separated from their money if the line makers are on their game like they were in the 2 marquee games that took place yesterday, including Pittsburgh, West Virginia? Went off at 7 and a hook. Decided by 7. And then we had Brandon Lang on our podcast yesterday on the Believe Podcast Network. And Lang loved Purdue getting 3 from Penn State. 3 from Penn State. That was a fairly steady line. And what is, the end result? Penn State wins by 4. Incredible. How did he do this? I mean, look, the result could be arbitrary, right? Could have just as easily been 57-0. But constantly we are reminded of the brilliance of the people that crush these numbers for a living. And that's something that Mark Lawrence is very good at, although he did get off to an 0-2 start. I don't even know. Do we count that? Was that like exhibition play,
Yeah,
preseason football? I
I'm
guess
not
we
going to
count
keep
everything.
counting on
We're
him.
transparent here. We hold ourselves accountable for all of the picks that we give you, right or wrong.
Yes.
So, when we're right about something, we're more than willing to beat our chest, but we're not going to do the old pro line thing with Jim Feist going, I can't believe it. You were 0-5 last week, but the game of your life came through, so everybody made money. It's like, I don't know. 0-5 sounds like a pretty treacherous
Pretty rough.
circumstance to play into, doesn't it? Unbelievable. And before we get to Charlie, too, the Donovan Mitchell thing was completed. I just don't believe how many assets you have to give up to get a player that is obviously well above average. But,
Yeah.
to trade like 3 guys and 16 draft picks, it seems insane, doesn't it? It's not
He's
like
a-
we're talking about Michael Jordan here with Donovan Mitchell. He's great, but is he worth all that?
That's my problem. Donovan Mitchell is a really good player,
Yeah.
and I think he'd be a number 2 on a championship contender, but he doesn't make you an instant contender. Like the Cavs went from like a 10th seed to an 8th seed. Like that's what the Cavs are. Like the Cavs went and got Donovan Mitchell to be like a 7th, 8th seed. Like that's crazy.
When were the Cavs ever mentioned in this deal?
Never.
Was there ever any interest, demonstrated
wanna
by the
go
Cavs that people picked up on? I mean, every report was, maybe the Heat, Celtics, Knicks for sure.
That's it.
Knicks apparently offered a little less than the Cavaliers were willing to put up and give up. And Danny Ainge, pulled off another one here. Danny Ainge might be among the more brilliant. I mean, he trades 2 guys and he got back like, half of an all-star team, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah. You got
Plus
players.
like 100 picks by trading Gobert and Donovan Mitchell.
Yep.
Gobert, they figured they weren't going anywhere with him in the lineup, so they had to get rid of him. They got an unbelievable cachet of assets back, and then this was unreal, right? That marketing guy is pretty good.
Yes.
Who was the other guy? Jambi, was that a rookie that they drafted? Yeah,
No, Colin Sexton's good. Colin Sexton. The problem with Colin Sexton is he would have been the Cavs' best player. He's just hurt all the time.
Yeah.
So they got 2 legit players, and they got 3 firsts and then 2 pick swaps, which is like getting 5 picks.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, they really fleeced them. Danny Ainge, pretty good job there as a Utah Jazz general manager. A lot of people don't like Danny Ainge. I was among them, because you just don't like a guy who plays like a prick. By the way, I got agreement here on the Serena thing. You'll find this surprising, but the source of this accord was Phil Mushnick in his column today. Mushnick all over it, man, saying, how does everybody just forget what they've already seen? Like how do you forget what you've witnessed? Serena Williams is not the greatest human being on the planet, even though we are being led to believe that by Chris Fowler, by John McEnroe, by Chris Everett. That not only is she the greatest tennis player of all time, which I don't know that many people would really argue that. I mean, you could probably throw a couple of other names out there, but a female tennis player anyway, and among the greatest tennis players of all time. No doubt about it. But is she the greatest person of all time?
Oh, no.
No, and he cites any number of just complete atrocities from a behavioral standpoint that we witnessed. I mean, we watched her tell it. That poor Cambodian woman. Is like a cleaning lady in Queens. She gets a job, $60 a night, being a line judge at the U.S. Open, and she literally says she's going to shove a tennis ball. I think it was down her throat, but we made it up her ass, but in front of everybody, and then calls the chair umpire a thief for calling Serena out as she was doing something that went beyond the rules, outside the scope of the rules, but she's supposed to be able to make her own rules. But she couldn't have been any less gracious about it. You couldn't see Chris Everett going up to the chair umpire and telling her that she should die, and rot in hell. I mean, whatever it was that she said, it was completely insulting. She had some incident, I guess, at Wimbledon where she shined on the champion's return because she wasn't happy that they asked her to return the courtesy cars, which she had 5 of for her entourage. And the deal is you return the courtesy cars the day after you're eliminated from the tournament. So she gets knocked out in the first round, and she says, hey, but I want to keep all of these courtesy cars until the end of the tournament and drive around Europe in them. And they said, no, you got to return the cars. And because she had to return the cars, she skipped the ceremony, 100 years of Wimbledon history. She's a big part of it, right?
Look, she's a baby. Yeah, we know this. She's a big baby. I mean, which is a lot of athletes like
destroyed Osaka's glamour and glory of winning the U.S. Open. Young girl. I mean, I think she helped put her into that psychological tailspin she was on. where she actually left the game there for a while and was breaking down and crying at every press conference because she wasn't even happy when she won. Because Serena made that such an embarrassment. And then on top, I don't want to get into the whole Serena thing. Look, a fine player. And you know what? I think she got her just due. She's got this fitting tribute going. I don't know. Is it Tomljanovic? Is that how you pronounce it? You pronounce the L, but not the J? It's not Tomljanovic. We should know this.
Donovic. It looks like I haven't heard it said yet. Have you heard someone say it? I've just seen it.
I've heard people say it, but my memory's shot, so
I haven't heard it.
I think it's Tomljanovic or something like that. Okay. Anyway, that goes tonight, and I have to say it's made for great theater. Look, I'll be tuned in. 7:00 on a Friday night. What am I going to be doing? Right, laying in bed thinking about, hey, what the hell am I going to do with the rest of my life? You're wasting time as you speak, and then sit around and watch Serena play for a couple of hours. And I don't care, right at this point, it doesn't matter to me if she wins or loses. She may as well go on and win the tournament. It would be a better story, wouldn't it?
Oh, yes.
If she goes on and wins it.
Like a tiger.
It's better than my story, which is, to look for her to lose in 2 sets tonight. But we shall see. All right, we're going to take a brief time out. Charlie Partridge, the defensive line coach of the Pittsburgh Panthers, is going to join us here on the program. They just were on the field like a few hours ago in a thrill-in Manila type of game against West Virginia, a backyard brawl, and it was all of that. That was a very exciting football game. I really enjoyed that. Hard-nosed running, hard-hitting, all over the place. Borderline, targeting calls, but just crushing hits being made on those plays. Back and forth it went. It's interesting because how many teams has that quarterback, the West Virginia quarterback, played for? He was like on USC, Georgia,
and now West Virginia.
What's going on here in college football? I'm looking, I'm going, didn't that guy start for Georgia last year?
Yes.
Why did he transfer? Was he relegated to the second team or something?
The guy, Bennett, who is not good.
Oh, yeah. He took over.
Game manager guy that's perfect for that defense and that run game. So he's been the quarterback off and on.
We'll get into some college football. We'll take you right down on the field with Charlie Partridge, last night's game, Pittsburgh, West Virginia. Then our Degenerate Friday ceremonies commence with the Greek. We'll have the professor and the big board. That's always a lot of fun. Mark Lawrence going to join us on the show from PlaybookSports.com. And, of course, the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, who no doubt will have, a very, very deep desire to trot out to a local parimutuel facility today because, and this is a weird schedule. This Kentucky Downs is an oddball track, Lubie. They only run like 7 days, I think, total during a year. So they started yesterday, was their opening day. And you would think they'd be running today, but they're not. They run like Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday for a couple of weeks. And then I guess they add in another day somewhere. But crazy track. And the angle on the television camera view that you get if you're watching one of the monitors and not watching the race live. I don't know how it is to watch races live there. I've never been there. But the angle, it looks like the race is over, and then there's another mile to go in the stretch. There have been a million times that I was just flat out cursing at the screen going, fuck, I can't believe this horse came up. And it's like, no, they're still going. Because they switch camera angles, and it's like watching a race from South America where all of a sudden there's like a whole nother mile to go in the race. It's phenomenal. So a lot of fun to watch that. And they're not racing today, but maybe we'll connect with the Gambling Gourmet somewhere at a parimutuel facility, but we will have them on the show. All right, coming back with Charlie Partridge here, defensive line coach of the Pittsburgh Panthers, victorious last night in their season opener against West Virginia. That's coming up in just a moment here on the Defo Show. I'm Jeff DeForest. He's Mike Lubie Lubitz. Back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
7:19. In style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more, and by asleep, to say we end the heartache and 1,000 natural shocks.
What could that have been about, except to hedge or not to hedge?
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show, a Degenerate Friday here on the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubitz, and it's always a pleasure for us to get a chance to speak with this gentleman. In fact, he was very much in my thoughts last night. I didn't know he was coming on the show today. Lubie hadn't revealed that yet. And I tuned in the game last night, first big college football game on TV of the season, Pittsburgh and West Virginia, the backyard brawl. I mean, it's as if Don King himself was doing the promotion for this game. It was absolutely fantastic. And I was thinking, all of the coaches we talked to talk about how much they love the game and how great it is to be a part of this fantastic thing, college football. Yeah, sometimes you think maybe they're just paying lip service to it, and it really isn't all that. But the atmosphere last night was just so sensational. I was thinking, man, our man Charlie Partridge is down there on that field. That has to be a great thing to be a part of. Charlie, what was it like? Well, welcome to the show. Charlie Partridge, defensive line coach for Pittsburgh, joins us here on the program. They win it over West Virginia in the backyard brawl last night to kick off the college football season. That had to be just tremendous to be a part of that. Was there an inclination to get into a brawl in that game, Charlie Partridge? How are you, my friend?
Well, first, thank you guys for having me on Degenerate Friday. I fit exactly into this window,
Yes.
And it's, I miss you guys. It's great to hear your voices. Lubie was trying to get me on earlier this week, and I was a degenerate and didn't get back to him. And I said, I'll tell you what, it's probably going to be a late night Thursday night, but I will be happy to get on early because of you two guys. So it's good to hear your voices. Tell you what, last night, man, the atmosphere, it was awesome. And, it was a hard-fought game. I really will tip my hat. This is not Coach Speak to West Virginia. They played extremely hard and, created some challenges for us that we had to work our way through. But, it's one of those moments where, this is my 6th year here. That's it. It's been 6 years, guys, since
that's crazy.
we were talking when I was at FAU, if you can believe that.
Wow.
It's been that long. And last night was one of those nights where, and especially for Coach Narduzzi, our head football coach, an accumulation of a lot of work and a lot of things. Obviously, winning the ACC last year, going into this season, and building some momentum, and just walking into that stadium, that's as good of a college football atmosphere as you're going to have. And going into it, there were some people out there in the media saying, well, it's going to be 70% West Virginia fans. Let me tell you something, it wasn't even close. They were represented well, but it was a great crowd, and it was at least 80-20 pit, and they were loud the whole time. So loved every minute of it.
It was fantastic. And Narduzzi, I mean, he was a doozy last night. He's always like that, though, right? But, I mean, he just looked like a guy to be a lot of fun to play for, to work for, and just to be around.
Yeah, he is. He has his priorities in order, without a doubt. Loves his family and loves his football team. And you're never going to doubt where you stand with him. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He has a ton of passion. His dad was a head coach in college. So it runs in the family, and yeah, he is absolutely a great one to work for sure.
Would it have been a little bit easier on the body and soul, Charlie Partridge, if you had just opened the season against the typical cupcake that we're seeing a lot of teams are doing here? I mean, I know Nick probably feels pretty comfortable about Utah State, and there are other games that look like obvious blowouts. Kane start against a relatively soft opponent in what Bethune-Cookman,
Yes.
and but this was a doozy. I mean, that was one hell of a hard hitting game, about as good as you could possibly expect early in the season. How did you feel about the overall caliber of play since this was the first game of the year?
Well, I think there's going to be a ton to clean up. I mean, there was certainly things that looked like first game performance issues for us to clean up, and anxious to get to the film. I promise you, did not watch it last night. I don't know what time I'm going to bed, but we'll watch it here in a couple hours, and I'm anxious to see, where we go from game 1 to game 2. And you mentioned, this caliber of a game early in the season. I mean, with all the change happening in college football, who knows where this thing goes, from a scheduling and a conference and all those things standpoint. But I think just having a big game right out of the gate is going to be kind of the norm. And like I said, it was a great atmosphere, and it was tough to prepare for all year. I guess one of the positives certainly is we had our kids' attention the entire off season and fall camp, knowing that we were going to have a dogfight in the 60-minute battle, and that's exactly what it was. And Coach Dave Wanstead of South Florida, certainly someone people know in South Florida, was our guest captain last night, and Coach Wanstead, who's a Pitt alum and a former Pitt head football coach, obviously head coach for the Dolphins at one point, when he talked to the team, just explained to them, listen, guys, rankings don't matter. Records from last year don't matter. This is that kind of rivalry. You just need to expect this thing to go down to the wire. And obviously, it took a pick six with 3 minutes left in the game for us to pull it off.
So, apart from you guys, especially in your run with Narduzzi, have been competitive every year, but it's rare that you guys come in with expectations. And last night you guys started top 20, and you're expected to contend for the ACC in a way that you never really have been beginning of this season. What's different with expectations now? You guys have worked toward good seasons throughout the year. This is the first time I can remember in a long time that Pitt comes into the year with high expectations. What's different? Is there anything different about it coming in with expectations as opposed to working toward expectations?
I think any time that you achieve something that you're working for, that's something that we wanted was to be ranked, to have respect, to go into a season, is that you have this sense of relief that you accomplished it. And certainly we have higher goals and newer goals and things that are, higher up the mountaintop that we're reaching for. But one, you're going to get everybody's best shot. You're not surprising anybody anymore. With that respect comes respect. And people prepare for you, I think, with a little bit different intensity. And, the other part of it is not making sure that you, on our side of it, that there's not this sense of relief. We've accomplished this. And so there's certainly a lot of different things that you're dealing with. There's books about it. There's speeches about it. There's quotes about it. Going from average to good is certainly a challenge. Going from good to great, I think, is one of the biggest challenges for all of us in all arenas. And that's what we're fighting to do every day. And it takes a ton of focus and a lot of maturity. And so far, our kids have shown it, but I know there's going to be a lot to clean up when we look at that film this morning.
Charlie Partridge, defensive line coach of the Pittsburgh Panthers, victorious last night, and kind of a thrill in Manila against West Virginia on ESPN, a marquee matchup to start out the college football season. The guys with the coonskin caps, the Davy Crockett hats, and the muskets scare me from West Virginia. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that.
He's a South Florida guy.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of banjos last night. Made me nervous.
Exactly.
I think it was actually 20% of our stadium was Degenerate Thursday night instead of Degenerate Friday, man. There's nothing like a good raccoon hat to
Yeah, it's always great when you can make apparel out of dinner.
I never heard so many. I so many people go, wheel.
All right, a lot of talk about constant. You mentioned it. You kind of touched on it. Conference reconfiguration. Now you got the Big Ten making all of this money, and the SEC, and people are wondering what's going to happen with ACC, the ACC teams, and the conference itself, where it's going to stand, and whether it's going to be advantageous to be a part of it. But it also appears, at least on one side, to be wide open. And you're a part of that. And now you have the University of Miami, which I know you follow, and I don't know how close you are or how well you know Mario Cristobal, but everybody's raving about what he's got going there. So how does it stack up? I mean, when you look at the ACC overall, how solid do the people think the conference is at this point, and how tough is it going to be to win a championship there?
I think it's going to be really tough. Obviously, like you said, I've known Mario for a long time, early 2000s, met him when he was an assistant at Rutgers. We really got to know each other well then. I think a lot of Mario. I think a ton of him. And I know what he's going to do and what he's going to build and how, most importantly, how hard he's going to work because he will refuse to fail there, if that makes sense. And he learned a certain way to do things on his path. He had success at FIU. Challenging job, as we know.
Yeah. Yes.
That type of job, right? But he had some success there, and then his path. I know he's going to do well, but North Carolina has talent. NC State has a great quarterback. We know Clemson is a team that tends to reload. This conference is on the cusp of doing some amazing things. I believe that in my heart, and with success comes TV money and TV contracts. All that stuff takes care of itself. We got great brands in the stadium, in the conference. We got great talent in the conference. I think it's going to be a battle, and I think some of these battles and atmospheres like last night do nothing but promote the ACC. When you look across and you see Herb Street and the crew in that type of atmosphere, with that type of game, with that type of victory. If we can stack those things up as a conference here in the out of conference season, and then go in and have some really competitive games and some teams that are ranked nationally at the end, I think it does nothing but help put the ACC on a national stage again.
Well, it was great last night, and we were thinking about you. Did you wheel out Marino also? Did Narduzzi tap into Marino, or are you saving that for another game later in the season? And Wannstedt there, maybe get John Conchemi to come back.
I didn't see Marino. I saw Jimbo Covert, Tony Dorsett was there.
Oh, Dorsett's nice.
There was a bunch of guys there. Yeah, there was looking around. There was a bunch. James Conner, who plays for the Cardinals. There was. Looked around, there was a lot of them. It was cool, but I know Mr. Marino will be around soon, so hopefully we can get him to maybe throw a pass.
Yeah, it'd be great. And of course, a lot of sentiment for Tony Saragusa, the Goose.
Yeah.
And that was also, I guess, part of the sentiment that was in play going into that game as well.
Without a doubt, and I can't believe I didn't mention this. Him and our dear friend Joey Esposito.
Yes,
were very close, and Joey and Goose's family they were here last night. So Joey Esposito was at the game, and they did some nice things to honor the Goose, and he'll forever be missed. What an amazing personality, amazing, loving man. And, our heart certainly goes out to his family.
He was great, man. I mean, the best thing was not only just a tremendous outgoing personality and a very funny guy, but you didn't know if he had a microphone in his hand or a hoagie from Las Patas. When he would go to the sidelines, you thought, wow, he's either going to say something or he's going to eat. But no, he was great, Saragusa. And I know Joey was, very moved, of course, by his passing, and has been spending a lot of time with the family. Charlie, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for getting up with us. I guess you guys never sleep, so and it would be tough to go to bed after a night like that. I don't know that you just rack right out on the couch, watching Oprah. I mean, that had to be just exhilarating to be a part of that ball game. So, thanks so much. Thanks so much for being with us.
Appreciate you guys. Take care.
All right. We'll talk soon there, Degenerate.
Charlie Partridge. That was good, man. Very. I mean, that was an
I'm gonna call
exhilarating
it
game. I mean, even if you didn't have a monetary interest in it, and or an emotional attachment to the game. But yeah, that was Cafe Seville are good friends. Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, of course. I think he told me that Joey was going to be at this game, and there was going to be, big, move, to honor and celebrate the memory and the life of Tony Saragusa, Pittsburgh, West Virginia, last night. All right, we're going to get into our degenerate fanfare here. We try to take you inside the action. That's what we're all about here on the Defo Show. Mike Lubie, Lubitz. Sometimes things that don't work out even better in the end. Because I think as opposed to having a preview of that game, it was nice to hear that somebody else takes a look at the West Virginia fans and thinks, what has America come to?
Well, he does. He's from here.
Yeah.
You don't get that down here. Davy, I guess it's sort of like that, but
nothing like
West
that.
Virginia.
No. Literally, like Davy Crockett hats. You're thinking a guy ate the squirrel and then he made a hat out of the skin there, and then grabbed a musket, and you weren't sure if you were watching a football game or a MAGA rally. It was pretty incredible as they panned the crowd there last night during that ball game, and then. Here the entire ball game. I mean, it looked like you were in a favorable position. Live and die by the dagger, huh? That hook is really like throwing, a knife right in the middle of your back. As if you're on the Pittsburgh side, you couldn't get rid of that hook the whole game. It was always going to be a factor, and then in the end, it turned out to be the deciding factor, as you had West Virginia get within 7, and now the line opened at 7. So. How good are these odds makers? I'll tell you, we're going to introduce you to a guy right here that knows all about that. And I'm not sure what he thinks is worse, the hook or the words I do. But in terms of treacherous, dangerous turf, we welcome the Greek to the program. Greek, how are you, my friend?
Oh, my God.
Definitely the words I do, without a doubt. I lost millions on both, so I definitely got to say the word.
Notice how your bookie always whispers the fact that it's a hook involved. He goes, yeah, that one's at 7 and a hook. You're like, what? What was that? And, that always comes into play.
I did pick West Virginia last night. They should have won that game, actually, outright. Get picked off. But, yeah, you don't mind the hook when you have it. And you hate it when you lose. It's life. And you're supposed to buy the extra point, but everybody's too lazy and don't want to pay, so they don't buy the extra half.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny, too, because I never think about that. And people are always talking about, you should buy a point, you should do this. Now, what kind of juice do you have to lay to buy that hook in most situations? Is it standard, or, what's the deal on that?
It goes up about 30. Like say you're betting 1,000. So say you lose 1,100. If you buy the hook, you'll probably lose about 1,300, a couple $100 more.
Oh yeah, wow, that's a big price to pay. Yeah, so it's not like buying.
If you're betting 1,100, you're like a guy who buys a Ferrari and asks us how it is on gas. I mean, come on. If you're 100,
This is true. Like you buy a house and you're about $500. It's like the house.
That's it. Yeah.
I went out to dinner with one of my buddies the other night. He just told me on the phone he wanted to have dinner with me, and he tells me he bought into a marijuana company, 300,000. Okay. Right. Okay. And then he goes, "You want to go to dinner early? It's happy hour early around 5 o'clock to 7." I go, You just put 300,000 in the company. You want to go to happy hour? I'm like, what is wrong?
That's why he has the 300 grand and we don't, though. You know that, Greek.
You're right.
And you've
right.
been picking up tabs at hoity-toity places for a long time.
Oh yeah. Somebody bought me dinner the other night at a beautiful restaurant. Would not say who it was. I was very impressed.
Well, that's interesting.
Is that right? Wait a minute, mystery woman, perhaps?
That's a nice.
That couldn't be a woman. It
was probably Giselle. She's having problems with Brady.
Exactly. There you go.
Did you see that? I mean, we knew that though, and maybe you can relate to this. I know I can, and Lubie can too.
I definitely can't.
When the woman is in your head to the point where she becomes a disturbance on your job, this is why I'm immediately discounting the Bucks. I've thrown them out of any equation. To be, I don't even think they make the postseason this year because the woman is in Brady's head, and Brady's head is the key to the whole operation. Plus, his offensive linemen are dropping like flies.
Yep. I agree 100%. I mean, you can't argue with the facts that have happened with her and him and, you know, the way she is and everything. And she's got a big ego. He's got a big ego. I think it could be problems for him. It really could. And you know what? I've said to everybody this, and I know this as a fact. Brady came back. He looked so thin. You want to lose weight? Go through a divorce.
Just the opposite with the Jews like me. You know, we put on like 50. And then you realize that if you're ever going to get back in the game, you better, you know, go on some kind of bizarre, you know, survivalist-like diet. And, you know, then you end up losing weight. And all of a sudden you're back in.
You want to lose weight? You want to lose weight, go through a breakup. I don't care. That you don't want, not that you want. My buddy said, he goes, I didn't lose weight in my breakup. I go, you were cheating. What are you talking about? Why did you lose weight?
You were happy.
You were getting fat. Yeah, exactly.
Your move.
And then Tuesday night, I go out with another one of my buddies, wants to have dinner with me. This is a great one. Well, two great ones this week happened to me for dating. Tuesday night, my buddy meets me. He wants to have dinner with me. We go out. He goes, look, I got a nice girl for you. I think she's great. I mean, he's describing her to the T. And I said to him, fine. I go, Ken, can I ask you a question? I go, who is this? This is my ex-wife.
Ex-wife? He's taking with his ex-wife. That's not weird.
Are you paying her alimony?
Yeah,
He goes, no.
Yeah.
He goes, she's a doll. He goes, I just got caught cheating. I go, I can't go at your ex-wife. I went to your wedding. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Were you eyeballing her that night? Or no, you wouldn't do that.
No. She's very pretty, but I just don't want to do that. And then Thursday night, I go out last night, and I got this lady I'm friends with, you know, early 50s, very attractive, her and her friend, and she's telling me, I got a girl for you, I got a girl for you. I'm like, all right. So I go over to the table, I sit down, and I figured it was her, like the friend playing off the other friend.
Yeah.
I sit down, and she was very attractive. I'm talking to her. She goes, I want you to meet my daughter. I go, how old's your daughter? She goes, 30.
Oh, that's good.
I go, you want me
Perfect.
I said, I know I look great. I said, but, you know, I felt a little young. So
Yeah.
I had to say it. I shouldn't have said it, but I knew the whole night was going to go bad after I said this line. But it was like, you know, Burt Reynolds in a long shot. You just take a shot.
Yeah.
I looked at her. I go, you don't want me, mommy?
Oh, no.
Those mother-daughter teams, though, Greek, you know, especially after you know, a bad breakup, which I know you experienced, but those mother-daughter teams can help ease the pain and also create a lot. I mean, look what happened to Mike Tyson, right? I don't know that he was interested in Ruth Roper, but certainly she was no bargain coming in.
After my breakup, I'd rather have a weekend in Ukraine.
Oh, my God.
You'll be whisked away by limousine to the airport and flown straight to Kyiv. All right,
Exactly.
excellent. All right, Greek, you know, it wasn't great for our handicappers last week. You did all right there, 1-1, and you've been on a roll all season long. This was preseason NFL, though. I don't even know if we should really count that. But nonetheless, here we go.
I told you Vanderbilt all day long, but you were pushing me like my ex-wife to get married. Oh, give me a preseason game. Give me a preseason. I didn't really want to give you a game.
Yeah. All right, so we'll discount that. You know what? We're going to start the season right now with the official start of the year.
Yeah.
That's fine. Let's try it up.
All right, you're 0-0 going into the season. This is the start of a new year. What do you have for us this week?
Well, the marquee games, everybody wants to bet them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, Georgia's laying 15
Those lines are crazy, though.
to Oregon. Oregon's going to be their toughest game of the year. That's what the experts are saying. I like Oregon plus the points. It's either 15 or 16. I'll take them. They're not in Georgia. They're playing in Atlanta. They're not between the hedges. So I like Oregon plus the points.
All right, taking a dog there and a bushel full of points. What else?
And then I like the over in the Notre Dame-Ohio State game.
Staying away from the side, which Notre Dame is also getting a bucket of points. in that game. And it's odd to see a team that's ranked 2 spots behind a team that's in the top 5. This is a 3 versus 5 game, Ohio State and Notre Dame. And the 3 is favored by what, like 17 and a hook?
Yes, they both are at 17 and a hook.
17, I think. Yeah, I think Oregon's getting 17. I think they're. But you can't go by rankings when you're betting. And honestly, you got to go by power rating, not ranking. Power rating, you get a good power ratings than somebody who does it really well. There's a lot of guys, you got to look it up. I know Teddy Covers does one, my good buddy from Vegas, and that's where you really see the discrepancy. Rankings, everybody knows that. The normal guy, they go, oh, it's 5 against the 3. But when you look at the actual power ratings, there's a big gap between Ohio State and Notre Dame.
All right, so the over in the Ohio State Notre Dame game, and you get an afternoon's worth of entertainment, rooting for each team to score, which is probably the easier way to take that game. And all right, so there's 2. You have another one for us, Greek?
No, let's stay with 2. We'll start off.
All right.
Next week we got the NFL.
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. Taking Oregon and a bunch of points in their matchup, and then Ohio State, Notre Dame taking the over. Which what is the total in that game? Do we know?
59 and a hook. I'm saying 59 and a hook. I don't know. Greek has different.
I was going to say I think it's about 59.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
So you're buying the half. Okay, so 60. Are we saying 60 or 59? 59.
So what are you guys doing this weekend?
Bring it down to 59 and say, all right.
I would imagine indulging in some kind of degenerate behavior.
Lots of football.
Yeah.
Gonna watch football. Hopefully, I don't get a divorce.
I'm planning on slipping out to the track later on today and betting some toga.
I might be there Sunday. I might go to track Sunday. Nice. I got one for you, Defo. Not Lubie won't remember this.
Okay.
I was in Beverly Hills one year, Labor Day, going back to the 90s. And I hooked up with this wise guy through some people, wanted to have dinner with me, games of this and that. And you know what he was betting on? Under, over. You'll never get it. You'll never, he told me he did it every year.
Oh, Jesus.
What do you think he bet on Labor Day, was your tradition? Every year he used to bet on.
Oh, God.
Wow. I don't know.
Jerry Lewis Telethon.
Are you serious? Oh, my God. Shut up. Are you kidding me?
That was out of my consciousness already. So you bet the total money raised? We got little Johnny from Fire Department 1215 right here in Staten Island.
Are you kidding me?
He's been out all night selling oranges.
Oh,
no, it was great.
Yep.
That's my favorite.
The under over on Jerry Lewis, the Telethon.
That's a beautiful thing. That is sickness personified.
That's so great.
Yeah, he said, he goes, Greek, you want a piece? I said, no. I said, no.
Wasn't it an annual over? They never went under. They always broke the record from the previous year. I guess they established a new number every year. Yeah. Oh, Greek, you're a great American, man. Good luck on your dating life. It sounds like it's getting more and more exciting by the day, which is good because a little bit of adversity is a good thing to face when you're trying to decide who ultimately is going to be your doom, right? So good way to go.
I'm never getting married again.
I said that.
Defo said that a lot.
I said it twice.
I was there.
The only way I would get married again, if the girl was totally flush, had about 10 digits in her account, that's it. I'm not doing it. I didn't want to do it this time.
Yeah.
I mean, I really didn't. Yeah. I just was like, okay, and I did it. Not that I didn't love her, but yeah, Lubie, but I mean,
no, I'm saying we remember the day you were getting married. We were talking to you, and you were freaking out. We were like, "What's wrong with this guy?"
Does this rich woman also have to be in her later 80s or early 90s, Greek? Are you going to step it up a little bit in that category? I mean, close to deathbed is also a favorable position if you're going to get married again. Yeah. But she's going to roll a 7 anytime. All right, Greek, we love you, man. Good luck in all of that. I mean, very noble pursuits.
Have a good weekend. All right, be good.
All the way around. All right, Hialeah Park, great place to go, man. I mean, just beautiful people through and through, and longtime supporters of the program here and all of our projects, and we certainly appreciate them and applaud them for being solidly behind us here on, just great people to deal with. They're really fantastic, and that's reflected in everything they do, including the way they run their business, which they run, in a top-notch fashion. very favorable to the player. The rewards program is sensational. You're not going to find a better rewards program anywhere, certainly with local casinos, and very generous allotments and, all kinds of amenities going along with having a player's card there, whatever level you happen to be at. And you work your way up very quickly if you're even starting as a rookie, rocking in there for the very first time and saying, hey, give me a player's card. Use that every time, and it's going to entitle you to all kinds of great stuff at Hialeah Park. And you're in there with a chance to win a jackpot. Plus, you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games and play poker and bet the ponies as well. It's just a beautiful thing all the way around. They do a great job. 9 years in action now at Hialeah Park with the casino. Going to be opened, just all night long pretty much. Until 5 a.m. tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday night for the holiday. So a big Labor Day celebration coming up. And they always have something special going in terms of food and partying on these holidays. So look for the Labor Day specials right there laid out for you at hialeahpark.com. And plan your visit this weekend. You want to have a good time? Maybe you don't have any specific plans. You're going to go to a barbecue on Sunday, but you don't have much else going. Make sure you make your time to find your way down to or up to a beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, coming back with the professor, we have the big board, and the professor always in tune with college football. So looking forward to his insight into this weekend's card, and just a giant a ledger of action going in college football this weekend. Already had some very exciting games. It was great having Charlie Partridge on the show. The professor coming up next, and then we'll have Mark Lawrence and the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo. So a lot to do here on a Degenerate Friday on a Defo show, and back with more in a moment. Now that. It's 7:51.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Joined now by the professor, showing no symptoms, Nick Saban. How threatened do you think college football is by all of this stuff? He's not the first prominent coach or named coach to be afflicted with this.
I think how threatened we feel like this is based on how many campuses Dan Mullen's wife is going to be.
Grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. One of the highlights of our Degenerate Friday is the appearance of the professor here on the program. And the professor, I don't know, did you catch the story? A little trouble in paradise there. I don't know if that has you particularly upset today. You've been watching entertainment tonight. Looks like Giselle's not happy Tom's coming back. I'm eliminating the Bucks from all of my equations in terms of championship possibilities because once that woman is in your head, I don't think he overcomes it this year. How are you, by the way?
Okay, your volume's not on.
Your volume's not on there, Professor. Whatever your reaction was, it looked like.
Make sure the mic. You have the.
Yeah. All right, we're going to try and get the audio situation straightened out with the professor there. Hit a couple of buttons, Professor, and see what happens. All right, he's thinking about it. The professor, ladies and gentlemen, of course, featured here with the big board. And I would imagine that you were taken back, Professor, a little bit by the news of these problems.
Nothing.
Nothing.
We're not getting you at all. Yeah.
All right. The professor is there somewhere. And I don't know. What do you think? You think he's so overwhelmingly upset?
No, because so we had, and I'm sure he's not upset. I'm sure he's laughing all the way to the bank. He had some popping last week, so we're trying to figure that out. So maybe in messing with those things.
All right. What do we have?
Getting
Nothing?
it all. No.
This is known as a production awkward moment here on live streaming all
I can
around the
call
globe.
them, but the board is sort of important to.
Yeah.
Oh, now you got me.
There you go. There you go. Turn the mic on
All
there,
right.
Professor. Nice job. Is that Loki down there figured out what to do? The dog? How are you, my friend?
Actually, for all my lack of technical ability, I had the mute button pressed. So, obviously I'm
very
a
good.
technical genius.
Would we have been better off
as
if we had
far as
muted
the
your
Tom
reaction to
Brady-
the Brady thing? Yeah.
Yeah, it probably would have. Look, I mean, he's 45 years old. He now almost has as much money as she does with this new he signed and they made him ahead of time for. So, he doesn't have to live off her as a sugar mama anymore, which is, if you're Tom Brady, part of the reason you've been able to take the contracts at a reduced price with the Patriots for all those years is because you're a kept man. Like, they compare him to LeBron. They're like, Tom Brady is such a winner. He's always taking a little less money so his teams can be bad. Like a selfish guy like LeBron has hurt the Lakers. Well, that's because LeBron has actually had to support his family, unlike Tom Brady, who ditched the mother of his children to run off with a billionaire supermodel so he could be a kept man for a supermodel with Nazi genes. So, and plus, honestly,
a Nazi sympathizer. I knew you had to work that in.
How many years of listing about how Goebbels was right can you put up with if you're
Jesus.
Tom Brady? Like, you live the rest of your life about the master race your wife.
Oh my God.
So,
All right, I'm glad I asked. Yeah.
What it is.
You ask. You do it every week. You set him up.
Why do I do that, man? I'm like Jerry Quarry here. I mean, I just want to walk into another right hook. Go ahead, Joe. Hit me again. I mean, like, unbelievable.
She's from Brazil, but she talks like every Nazi in an Indiana Jones movie, and she's got blonde hair and blue eyes. That's not suspicious at all.
You haven't used the words master race yet, but I'm sure
He did. He threw it in there.
Oh, yeah, you threw it in?
Yes.
Okay.
He did. The first time in a long time he threw in master race.
Yeah,
He went
yeah.
for it.
Does the big board have pictures of like Hitler Youth that you got off the internet?
Jesus.
Hey, babe.
God.
All right, how you hitting them early in the college football season?
I mean, we've seen it. If I did have pictures of Hitler Youth, Tom Brady would be making out with them, like because his own children. So,
what do you see so far, Professor? College football. I mean, that was a good game last night. We got to talk to Charlie Partridge. That was a lot of fun. He too was scared of those West Virginia fans.
I don't know that either one of them was actually that good a game, but they were both highly entertaining games.
Yeah.
West Virginia and Pitt. I talked about it with Lubie before the game. We talked about it a little bit in the preseason. I think Pitt, from a gambling perspective, is probably a team to keep your eye on in terms of the fade throughout the course of this season. And with the loss, they sort of proved that out in week one anyway. And then I thought very fortunate to come away with the win there with that very lucky pick six. I would look for West Virginia maybe to improve throughout the course of the season. I thought JT Daniels was actually pretty good in that game, particularly once they got the snap figured out. That we'll see if that becomes a persistent problem. They had, I don't know, half a dozen or more bad snaps throughout the course of that game. And Keaton Slovis, on the other hand, on the other side, I thought was actually pretty impressive. But it looks like Pitt's defense was kind of a downgrade from last year. So they're going to need a lot of top-level play out of the quarterback. Again, I didn't think it was a super well-played game on either side, but a very entertaining game on both sides. And then you got to Penn State and Purdue, which we actually were on Penn State in that one. And, sometimes you're on the wrong team, but you get a win anyway. And that was definitely the case in that game. I thought actually Penn State kind of had the momentum at halftime, and then Clifford missed a series on a cheap shot, and Purdue sort of seized it from him. But Penn State obviously comes back at the end to get the late touchdown in the cover. In terms of moving forward, both of those teams, I think both teams are going to probably struggle some defensively. Was not impressed with either unit there. Manny Diaz's unit in Penn State, I thought was it was funny because the announcers would not shut up about how Manny Diaz is a pressure defensive coordinator. He's a pressure defensive coordinator. And then he turned in a late game situation where Penn State needed to get the ball back. He turned back to that, I'm going to rush 3 and drop 8 all over the field.
Tony Sperano.
Defense that lost them the Florida State game and almost cost them the Purdue game last night. But fortunately, Penn State managed to pull one out. Fortunately from us, from a gambling perspective, fortunately for them from a win perspective. So we'll take it.
That was funny, too. We had Brandon Lang on our podcast yesterday, and he loved Purdue in that ballgame. He has no respect for the Penn State coach, saying, what is this guy doing laying 3 against anybody? And that Purdue is underrated. And, as you said, Professor, I mean, it's interesting about being a degenerate. Sometimes, all of your rationale really went up in smoke, and you end up with a win anyway.
Yeah, I think Brandon Lang was probably actually on the right side of that game, but sometimes the breaks beat the boys. And then you go back to the end of that first half, Purdue's going in, look like, worst case scenario, maybe they'll be down 3 at halftime. They fumble on Penn State's 20 with about 30 seconds left. And then Penn State gets kind of a very lucky play at the end of the first half to score a touchdown. There's your ball game, both straight up and in terms of the cover.
All right, under the auspices of I Love to Smell the Point Spreads in the Morning, we have a lot of college football action for you to play into. So let's get into some professor selections here for what is officially week 1 of the college football season.
Okay, well, let's start with tonight. And we've got Indiana and Illinois. Illinois getting 1. I believe this game started at 3, down now to 1. We're going to go with Illinois here. I thought they closed the season well under Brett Bielema, who I think is kind of an underrated coach. I know he had a disaster at Arkansas after taking a pile of money to go there. But I think Illinois probably starts off the season strong this year, just like they did last year, come out of the gates. Indiana, they were good last year, or, for Indiana good, but they lost a ton. They'll be replacing their entire offensive backfield. Lost a couple stars on the offensive line, was disappointing anyway, and it's Indiana, and I can't remember the last time they put a decent defense on the field. Probably not in my generation. I mean, so the Hoosiers, despite a little bit of momentum with, prognosticators in the preseason, it's a team I just don't really see it with Indiana. The most likely starting quarterback, they haven't officially named a starting quarterback, not going till game time. Most people think it's going to be the transfer from Missouri. I was never that impressed with him at Missouri. Thought he was interception prone. I think he threw 11 picks in 8 games last year. Never impressed with him. Not impressed with Indiana's roster. So just strictly from a personnel standpoint, like the Illini here, we know Illinois finished last season relatively strong. They won that game in, 8 overtimes against Penn State, where they both teams kept going for 2 and kept matching each other over and over again. Ended up winning that game 2018, and then finished the year by blowing out Northwestern, which after last week looks like a pretty decent win. So taking the Illini here plus the 1 to start the Big Ten season off on the show.
All right, keep rolling through the professor selections, college football this week.
Okay. Just a quick mention here. I heard the Greek pick Oregon in that game. I don't know what's going on with this game one way or the other. Just because we like to talk about the features. The only angle I can see here is with Georgia's former DC Lanning going over to Oregon to be the head coach. I can't think of anybody who's going to know Georgia's offense better than him coming into a situation. If I'm not making this an official pick, but if I'm going to lean on that game, since it is the big day game, I would lean towards the under here. 54, the under, of course, the least fun bet in sports because you're rooting for both teams to punt back and forth. But I'm looking at something like Georgia by 2 scores, Georgia by 3 scores, but in the low range, 21-7, 28-10, something around there. I'm not sure. I think this game's getting anywhere close to the total at 54.
Was it last year or 2 years ago that they opened a season with like that absolute dreadful, boring game against Clemson?
It was Georgia. Last year, and it was a dreadful game, but Georgia won and covered. So, as I recall, it was a nice win for us to start the year, so I'll take it.
Oh, man, that was painful to watch. Just unbelievable. As you said, at least last night, the games might not have been the highest caliber of quality, but nonetheless, very entertaining, that Pittsburgh-West Virginia game. All right, that's 2 picks.
Actually, that was not official. Oregon game. Throwing that one out.
Oh, just throwing it out. Okay. All right. What else you have for us, Professor?
The next game that we're going to make an official game is a team we spotted last week, and that's the local team, the FAU Owls, with former Miami quarterback N'Kosi Perry, who I have no idea how he's still eligible for college, even with COVID, even with a redshirt year. I think N'Kosi Perry was in a quarterback competition.
Yeah.
I was going to say Brock Berlin. I think he competed for the competition with Brock Berlin for the Canes start.
Yeah.
The guy's like 37 years old. I have no idea how he's possibly still in college, but he is playing for FAU. FAU laying 4 to Ohio. Ohio's a football program. Over the years, they've been decent, but the last couple of years, they've just been flat awful. FAU goes in. They've got a game under their belt. Ohio doesn't, which is something a lot of people like in the early season, myself included. And then you go back last week, I think FAU was only laying 4 or 5 to Charlotte and won by 30. So very impressive start for the Owls. They're a team we're going to keep our eye on throughout the year. Depending on what happens this week, we may end up picking them a lot. So that's a game we like. FAU -4 to Ohio. It's a 6 o'clock kick.
All right. We have Illinois +1, FAU -4. Anything else stick out to the professor?
Yeah, unfortunately for the last 2 picks, it's a part of the year where Lubie's going to hate us, and I kind of hate myself. Start with the first one. Number 7, Utah, traveling to Florida. The Utes laying 3 on the road in an early season game. I think you got to take the Florida Gators here, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Number 1, I think they'll get a little bit of bounce from the new coaching staff. Billy Napier, impressive job, and it gives them a little bit of randomness. Utah not necessarily going to know what to do defensively. And Utah, not a great defensive team last year anyway. Utah, definitely an offensive-oriented football team. Now they got to go on the road. Going to be a very hostile environment. And the best player on the field is going to be Anthony Richardson. It's going to be Florida's quarterback. So you get, I think, an overall higher level an athlete. You've got the home field. You're getting points. And your quarterback's the best player on the field. I got to think Florida's a pretty easy pick here. Not only the points, if you want to, inclined to take the money line, it's not that high. I think it's only like +130 or 140. But I look for the Gators to come out with a win.
I'm a little worried we're going to have to put all the lifeguards on alert here in South Florida if your next pick is what I think it's going to be.
No, we know that. We've talked about it.
In terms of
we've talked about it.
Talked about it on the show for like a month.
Psychological.
It's Monday. LSU versus FSU. We took this at 2.5. I don't know, a couple months ago when it first came out. It is now at 3.5. It's now at 3.5, but it hasn't moved a ton.
I haven't seen it.
And that's moved to 3.5 this morning.
Okay.
And that's we're taking LSU in New Orleans against FSU. I don't have any faith in Florida State. I know they were impressive against Duquesne and their high pants football roster last week. If you haven't seen that picture, Google Duquesne football pants, because that kid was really funny looking.
They didn't have enough uniforms for the 45 guys they probably brought to that game.
Apparently, they didn't have enough material for the one fat kid's pants because very ridiculous looking uniform there on Duquesne, who I didn't even know played football. So all credit to Duquesne for somehow elevating high enough to make a money game out of it. FSU was impressive, but I'm not impressed by FSU. I don't buy Jordan Travis. I'm never going to buy Jordan Travis. And in this game, with LSU's defensive line and all the talent LSU brings on their side of the table, I just can't see Florida State being able to run their way to a win here. Nobody knows who Brian Kelly is. This is a very Brian Kelly movie. It seems like he does this every year. Hasn't announced his starting quarterback. I'm assuming it's going to be the transfer from Arizona State, Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to function very well with his legs in a Brian Kelly offense. He likes those combination quarterbacks. I think LSU's going to win in kind of ugly fashion. In a lot of ways, this reminds me of the spot Miami and LSU were in. Was it 3 years ago when they kicked off the year? I think LSU wins pretty comfortable here. Couple touchdowns. I'm not afraid of this number, even though it's gone up. I don't think 3.5 is going to be that big a deal for you. And Lubie's probably going to hate me at the game. I see, by the way, the great Jim Sarney asking for our thoughts on Notre Dame and Ohio State. I think you have to take the points in this spot. Again, everybody who has made Ohio State, a playoff pick, I've seen even a couple people as a national championship pick, their offense is great, but people seem to forget their defense was terrible last year. Oregon went to the horseshoe, absolutely stomped them, controlled the game, ran away without Kayvon Thibodeau playing in that game. Then you flash forward to the Michigan game. They got absolutely dominated by Michigan, both sides of the ball, but particularly Michigan's offense just manhandled Ohio State defense. And then you go to the bowl game, and once again, Utah's offense is pretty solid, but not a ton of NFL talent, and absolutely manhandled the Ohio State defense. Notre Dame come in, new coach. He's a defensive coordinator. You can expect, I would imagine, it's just the way defensive guys go, very conservative game plan, try to run the ball, try to control the clock. I, for the life of me, can't see why anybody's willing to lay 17 or in a couple of cases, because it got up to 18 for a couple moments this week. I can't see how anybody be willing to lay those kind of points against Notre Dame with Ohio State's offense. So, I mean, I look for a much closer game than the point spread. I know people love Ohio State, the quarterback and the offense. Yeah, they're going to score points, but I don't know that their defense is going to be able to keep them on the field very much in this game.
Holy Craig Krenzel. That'll be, that's going to be the marquee game, obviously, and it'd be nice.
He's
to see
a lot better than Craig Krenzel, by the way.
Yeah, boy,
probably not as good at physics or whatever.
How was he a national championship quarterback? Only that referee. What was his name? Porter. Unbelievable. All right, let's get to the big board. We have a lot to accomplish here in this hour, so we want to get as much big board time as we can. And the professor, I don't know. Obviously, we've discussed a Brady potential breakup with Giselle. We knew that was going on. Kind of an interesting reason to leave training camp.
We didn't discuss Brady's blatantly obvious. I took 2 weeks off of training camp to get a facelift, though.
Yeah. What happened to him, man? He looks emaciated.
Plastic surgery happened to him. Yeah. Like really blatant plastic surgery happened to him.
I'm throwing the bucks out of all of my equations, as I said. All right, what do we have on the big board? The professor's big board on a Degenerate Friday.
Well, Defo, there's been an internet trend going around this week, something very popular that really hits near and dear to my heart, which we haven't done a big board yet on. And that is, as you well know, thanks to a very ugly incident that Mike Lubie was not only there for, but was part of it. There is nothing I hate more, thanks to an incident with Bernie from the Miami Heat and Lubie at Beer Fest years ago. There's nothing I hate more than a mascot.
Yes.
Big, giant, fuzzy mascots all need to be taken out and shot in the back of the head, as far as I'm concerned. Very pleasantly surprised during the preseason to see the Baltimore Ravens mascot Poe get badly injured and gone for the season, because all mascots, as far as I'm concerned, deserve a devastating knee injury, just like he took. But a certain video that I've been talking about for years, I don't know why all of a sudden it has gained steam, but has been all over Twitter and the internet this week. And that is the subject of this week's big board, which is...
All right, flipping things around here.
And that is the big board of mascots destroying children.
A very appropriate topic for today's show. And it's fantastic.
Because I don't know if you've seen this video, Defo, but annually they play a couple of games throughout the country. One's in Minnesota. I think another one is in Indianapolis, where various professional sports mascots play games against children. Play a game of football against children. And I think these illustrate exactly what professional mascots are all about. So we're going to start with number 5, which is the one that has sort of kicked things off in terms of repopularizing this video with the current Twitter and other internet audience. And that is this clip here. The Atlanta Braves mascot.
All right, there it is.
Let's watch what he does here.
Oh, we have a video. All right. And
1, 2, and at the end 3. Let's go to the slow motion replay. Blooper destroys a small child, winds up, and then to finish it off when he's about to go down, pushes another child to the ground.
Wow, he gets him a Chuck Foreman. Yeah, right in his chops. Nice.
Blooper, the Atlanta Braves mascot, whose team doesn't even play football, goes full on Derrick Henry, to not one, not two, but 3 children. Message, you don't want your children around this giant fuzzy mascot. I mean, I don't know how much more clear that can be.
There. I'm amazed that's number
And,
one, not
again,
number one.
Let's go to.
All right, another video.
The wrong
here.
slide
This
there.
is,
We're catching up on our slide.
There you go.
Oh, it's because I went
got a couple of things working.
Screen. Hold on for a sec.
All right.
We got to get this
technical,
out of full screen.
Advancement
screen.
That we're trying to make here on the production of the Professor's Big Board.
Yeah, and for some reason it is
a little
really
sloppy.
It froze.
All right.
Okay.
Any luck, Professor? Is he scrambling?
Waiting for a reset here.
Okay.
It's gonna take
what?
Hey, Lou, throw it to a break.
I wish we could. Okay, here we go.
There you go.
Here we go. And that takes us to number 4. We will not full screen anymore. Number 4 is not to be outdone by blooper is Goldie the Golden Gopher.
There he is. Why he wears pants.
One of our big. Here goes the Gopher. You see he's running. And we'll go to the replay here. You see, not only does he hit this child, he lines up to hit this child and then taunts him.
Oh my God, he should have trucked him.
Let's replay this one more time. He had the option of just running by this child, but nope, right into him.
Oh my God.
Lines him up and takes him down.
We're laughing at violence
like
one
of our
Trump
biggest
rally.
Mysteries in college football, which has always been, why the hell does the Minnesota Golden Gopher wear pants? He's got full-on fur. Now we know the answer. Yeah. He wears pants because he's going to go commit crimes against small children, and he doesn't want to compound it with a sexual charge when he's physically assaulting small children.
Yeah, that could be very compromising for his position in any court of law. That's for sure. He didn't have the pants on. All right, that's number 4. The
Let's
Professor's
go to
Big
number
Board
3 here,
of,
and this one is not just a mascot assaulting a small child. It's a mascot who doesn't even represent a professional football team or a college football team. Assaulting a small child. Let's take you to Bolt, the Denver Nuggets mountain lion mascot, and watch this play because what's going to happen is.
All right, we got the countdown working.
This child is going to be several yards out of bounds. 5 steps on the boat, goes to the head, stands over, taunts him, and then the Karate Kid raised on him. Again. Quick replay here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps out of bounds.
He hammers this kid.
Stands over, taunts him.
Oh, and taunts
him. And then breaks out the Karate Kid move.
Yeah. That's pure ugliness there, too. All right, Rocky drawing flag.
This is what mascots are all about, people. This is what mascots will do to your children, given the opportunity.
Got in that spitting match with Bernie there and got thrown out of the arena. That was crazy. Yeah. All right. That's number 3. And Bernie had a thing, right? Where didn't he throw what was supposed to be confetti on some woman and it was like tar in Puerto Rico? He ended up getting in a lawsuit. Here's number 2 coming up on the big board.
Let's go to number 2 because one of my favorite movies of all time actually tried to warn us about this. Tried to warn us about the dangers of mascots. So number 2 is a break from mascots beating up on small children in a football game. And just if you haven't seen the movie Sudden Death, you need to see this movie Sudden Death. Obviously prophetic when it comes to the issue of mascots. So number 2 is Jean-Claude Van Damme
versus the girl
getting
penguin.
Beaten up by a dressed up as a person Pittsburgh Penguins mascot uniform. That's right. Jean-Claude Van Damme, this fight goes on for almost 4.5 minutes, and Jean-Claude Van Damme loses the fight for the first 3.5 minutes of the movie.
Then strangely turns it around at the end, yeah.
How's he losing?
Vince McMahon handed him the script.
Not strangely. At the end, Jean-Claude Van Damme kills the mascot woman by drowning her in a pot of boiling water. which I
Nice.
think is honestly a fair fate for any mascot. But I think this warns you very well the dangers of these big fuzzy mascots. Not will harm your children on the football field.
But able to
Even
knock out
women
Jean-Claude Van
dressed as
Damme.
these mascots are capable of winning a fight against Jean-Claude Van Damme. And this is like a 1992 movie. This is prime Jean-Claude Van Damme. This is an old Jean-Claude Van Damme. See, he's trying to drown Van Damme in a French fry oil. The fryer burns his head. This is what mascots will do, people.
By the way, there are pox in society.
If you've seen Sudden Death, it is one of the great movies of all time. I will tell you, the mascot fight is not actually the best scene in that movie. Probably the best scene is when Jean-Claude Van Damme has to sneak down and play goalie for the Penguins for about 3 minutes of the movie and winds up stoning Chicago's Tony Amonte on a breakaway. Is probably the highlight of the movie. I don't really know how Tony Amonte lived that down. His sister wins a gold medal, or a couple of them, for the USA women hockey team, and he can't even score on Jean-Claude Van Damme, a guy who just got done losing a fight to a girl dressed as the Penguin.
Holy Andre Richard. Yeah, no, that's not going to be an easy one to take off the resume there, especially with the internet around today. All right, that's only number 2, which that was sensational.
And that takes us to number 1, which you should go yourself and watch these videos of mascots destroying children. And if you do, you will note that for all the Blooper the Penguins and Rocky the mountain lion, there is one absolute dominant force in these games, and that is Blue, the Indianapolis Colts mascot, who is just an absolute killer of small children. He has killed more than Wayne Gacy. Here he goes. After the play, pushes a kid down, jumps over the top, kills the quarterback, taunts him, and then flags his crotch to the crowd.
Serious
Give that one
ugliness, my
more
friend.
look. Blue here again, taunts the crowd.
Yep.
Hits a child after the play.
Yep.
Jump over the top.
He's like
Destroys the quarterback.
Offsides
Talks
also.
shit to him, and then here's my crotch. Blue. I have conflicting things here because I do hate mascots.
Yes.
But even I have to respect the way Blue enforces on the field with small children there. Blue the Colt, I have a grudging amount of respect. As someone who not only hates mascots, but doesn't think much of small children playing football, I have to give a grudging respect to Blue, the Indianapolis Colt. And that, Defo, is the big board of mascots destroying children.
Mascot child abuse, probably won't be discussed other places around
No,
your
probably
streaming
not.
and our radio dials today. I understand now your obsession, though, with the whole Bernie thing.
Yeah, it makes sense
even
now.
before the incident happened, and I understand your reaction now much better. You did a great job of
those
illustrating
mascots.
the root of the evil that actually emanates from most mascots, if not all.
Oh, yeah. No, they're only terrible people take that job.
Yeah. Even Dolph Van Denny had a dark side.
Like, honestly, would you want to be around Dolph Van Denny? Would you want your wife around Dolph Van Denny?
My children around
You
Dolph
saw
Van
the guy,
Denny.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, he did give my son a strange look when he came over to give him a little candy cane at Christmas. when we went to
As
the
you
game
see
that
from
day.
the video, he's probably
Yeah.
thinking about giving a late hit and taunting
Outside.
him. Don't
Hey,
trust
babe.
mascots. No.
All right, brilliant, Professor. Any plans there for Labor Day? The Foundry going to be open? Brunches Monday,
Of course,
Sunday?
we're going to be
what?
open. Yeah,
Yeah?
we're going to be open Saturday for college football, Sunday, and then I don't know what we're doing Monday. I'm sure we'll have some special, but off the top of my head, I'm not sure what it is. I don't think we'll be open for brunch, but come on by for the night game.
Professor's Fine Restaurant there, very popular joint on Atlantic, just west of the bridge and east of Federal Highway. Fantastic place to watch football. Obviously, that open air bar thing is fantastic, and get a nice crowd in there. And
we don't allow mascots anywhere near the place.
I don't imagine you will have like a guy in a chicken suit outside trying to
Yeah.
pump
No.
business there.
Trust me, if Bernie shows up, much like Jean-Claude Van Damme, I'm getting the deep fat fryer and throwing the oil right in his face.
With that,
You'll be called Bernie because you'll be spending the rest of your days in a burn ward if you show up, Bernie.
and the fire headdress will be appropriate. All
Exactly.
right, Professor, you have a great weekend. Good luck on all your plays, and thanks for being with us.
You have a great one, Dave.
All right, the Professor, ladies and gentlemen. Coming back, Mark Lawrence, PlaybookSports.com. Have more selections. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, great place to go. I mean, if you're looking for a place to chill out over the long Labor Day weekend, which long 3 days, it feels good, doesn't it? Get that extra day in there. I'm a big fan of the 4-day work week. I wish they would come around to that. And, make that part of the staple. Well, eventually, I guess, what? Will nobody be working anymore? Well, what's going to happen here? Who knows what the future may hold? But, if you're looking for a great time this weekend, we know that's coming up, and it's going to be brilliant. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, a perfect place to chill out, have a great time. If you're heading down to the Keys, any destination, best food and drink you're going to find anywhere. And the whole Keys, from Largo all the way down to Key West. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, and it's the first thing you come across after you get out of Florida City. Don't get some gas station sandwich as if you were on the campaign that Mike Mayo was on to eat a different sandwich, and you finally had run out of ideas, so you got one of those plutonium-encased sandwiches, at a Shell station. Forget about that. Head down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill just as soon as you get into Key Largo. Bingo, it's right there. And on the bay side, and a beautiful view of the bay, beautiful property, and tremendous, all kinds of offerings on the menu, including the Italian fisherman pizza. That's a must, and all of the great nachos, and then fresh seafood. You can have it done in a fancy schmancy fashion, or, I like it with pistachio incrustation, or whatever. Next thing you know, you got pistachio nuts and a lobster on the thing. But, no, it's great. Whatever you want, they'll do it for you, too, at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. You're going to love it. Everything is delicious, comes out of the kitchen. Dominic and Jamie really doing a tremendous job there. And we're looking forward to being down there. Yeah, and you should, too. Make it definitely a destination of choice. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. All right, coming back with Mark Lawrence in just a moment here. And the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo, joins us on the program as well. We'll be back with all of that in a moment. Now that. It's 8:27. In style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Mark Lawrence, burial last night with the hook, the dagger right there in the small of my back. That hook did me in again. I should know better. What would happen to you? We've asked you this before. If you actually were giving points in a ball game, would you be able to live with yourself or look yourself in the mirror the next day?
I would probably be ordering my last meal at the same time.
There is nothing better than Defo. It's now time for the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. A Degenerate Friday underway here on the Defo Show, South Florida Live. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, and this gentleman. Always great, fascinating stuff. He was way ahead of his time. He was into sabermetrics before they even knew what they were, and was quantifying things in terms of trying to figure out who's going to come out ahead, what kind of total is going to be scored in a game, and really has just unbelievable, insane breakdowns of numerology when it comes to sports and getting a wagering angle on a game. We love him, and he has never picked a favorite on the show here in, I would say, the 12-plus years we've been doing this?
I think he's been with us 9 or 10 years at least.
Yeah. Mark Lawrence joins us here from PlaybookSports.com. He started the thing. I remember meeting Mark a long time ago, some restaurant there by Aventura with the Polyman. And you showed us the preseason football guide, which is a spectacular piece of work. In fact, I think it was discovered by the FBI. It was the most important top secret of the Trump documents that were seized from Mar-a-Lago. Were you contacted at all? Mark Lawrence, welcome to the show. Good to have you on, my friend.
Well, thank you, Defo. And I did get the magazine out of Mar-a-Lago before the FBI got there.
Because you know the Trumpster would have let it go before its release date, which might have been damaging to your business, but he probably wouldn't care. How's it going? I mean, how you feeling, Mark Lawrence? We had some college football last week, and we've got a lot more this week, and already had a couple of exciting games.
Yeah, the football season is off to a really good start. Real competitive football games. Just witnessed the Purdue Penn State game, which went down to another half-point spread in a football game like that. And we've got basically a full lineup of football games on tap from tonight through Monday, if you will. And so it's college football is back full stride once again, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, that hook is something. Now, are you inclined like the Greek? I mean, I see you playing games for what they are in their raw essence. Are you inclined to buy that hook? Do you recommend that as a strategy, or buy a point or whatever when wagering on football, whether it's college or pro?
My answer to that is no. Don't do that, because you're really giving up all the value that you had in the game when you found the football game. And I'll tell you a quick little story here. Billy Walters, really world-renowned sports gambler, probably the sharpest gambler in the history of the sport. I had dinner with him one evening and with a good friend of mine, and I was asking him the same question: do you ever buy points in football games? And he looked at me and gave me this blank stare. He says, "Buy points in football games? Are you kidding me? I create the points." Because he bet so much on football games, he doesn't need to buy points. He can go out and he can maneuver the spread from the standpoint that he would go out early in the week, bet games, move the spread, a point and a half, 2 points, and then come back before game day and then bet the side that he really wanted in the game. So I asked the wrong question to the wrong guy, and was really kind of red-faced, embarrassed in doing so, but I did learn a valuable lesson.
Amazing too. I mean, once again, the line makers. I wish they were running the economy right now. Gas would be under $1, and everybody would be prospering. Wouldn't have to be jacking the interest rate every couple of days, because the two games that I guess were the most prominent, both ended up being decided by the dreaded dagger. Worse than the words I do when they come out of your mouth. The hook. As West Virginia and Pittsburgh also, I think, went off 7 and a hook in the end game.
7.
Yes, it did. Yeah, 2 big football games last night, marquee games, each within a half point of each other, which tells us one thing: the odds maker is on his game.
My God. All right, we're going to try to beat the odds with Mark Lawrence, as you always try to do, with your string of underdog selections that you've made here on the show. Very popular with all of our players here. As you're not only beating the hook, but beating the juice and getting the price that you're looking for and some value. So as you view the slate this week, Mark Lawrence of PlaybookSports.com, what did you come up with?
Well, the thing that stands out to me, Defo, on a card early in the season is, number one, you have to be careful, because you don't want to jump into the pool without knowing how deep the water is. You can end up, obviously, terminally injured in situations like this. So be very, very conservative in your approach. But what I see opening week in college football cards is a little thing that I call only the lonely. And basically what it amounts to.
Only the lonely. These are new theories you're
Well,
unveiling.
we haven't
this
heard
year.
of Lawrence theory.
Did you go on some kind of sabbatical or retreat, and hang out with Ricky Williams at the foothills of the Himalayas reading novels? I mean, you have a whole new bag of things here, Mark Lawrence. It's great.
I was overindulging in a Roy Orbison's greatest hits album. Is really where I came up.
Only the lonely. All right. How does this theory work?
Only the lonely.
Okay.
And what we're doing is we're going to look at teams that are on the college football card this week that will be an underdog for likely the only time of the season. This being the one and only game that they'll be the underdog. Last year, to start the season, there was one such play, and that was Georgia took 2.5 from Clemson, and we all know what Georgia ended up doing, winning that game and winning the national championship.
Yeah.
Well, these teams really don't, they don't relish being in this role. They respond really rather quite well. So there are two such plays on the college football card Saturday. Are Roy Orbison only the lonely play. Boise State.
Okay.
They'll be taking 2.5 points against Oregon State. This is a Boise State football team that has 17 starters back from last year. They have a fourth-year senior starting quarterback in Hank Bachman. That's really, really good for football teams right out of the gate. Bachman's still there. Exactly right. They're also, in the last 6 years, 5-0-1 to the spread in their first game of the season. And as I mentioned here, or I didn't mention, but the last time they played Oregon State was in 2016 on this field. Just in 2016, they were 17-point favorites. Now they're the 2.5-point underdog. That's a big, big swing in such a short period of time. The flip side, Oregon State comes in here. They're only 11-17 on the scoreboard at home since 2017, and they've been favored 14 times since 2014. They've only won 5 of those games straight up. They just can't handle carrying the weight. So our first only the lonely play here is going to be Boise State plus the 2.5 against Oregon State.
All right, Mark Lawrence, PlaybookSports.com. Boise State was one of the lonely plays. And where'd you find another one? This is unbelievable, some of this stuff.
Well, you have to really kind of scratch and claw, but we did. And that other play will be Cincinnati taking 7 points against Arkansas. And in Cincinnati, we've got, I think, a superior head coach in Luke Fickell, who has just been fantastic in his career as an underdog. He's 15-9-1 against the spread. He's terrific in non-conference games. He's 15-8 against the spread. And he just also happens to be 6-0 straight up, 4-0 to the spread in this first game of the season. Very, very well coached football team this will be. They lost their starting quarterback, Desmond Ridder, 4-year starter with the Atlanta Falcons now. But it's a very, very well coached football team. They're going to take 7 points against Arkansas, an up-and-coming football team under Sam Pittman, who won more games last year, Arkansas did, than in their previous 3 years combined. And that oftentimes works against teams who sort of punch their way through onto the other side after having been lingering in losing waters, per se. Then they have a good winning season now. All of a sudden, everybody loves this football team. I'm going to play Cincinnati plus the 7. I think the better team, the better coach, and I won't be surprised if Cincinnati wins the football game.
I love it. I mean, starting out in fine fashion here, Mark Lawrence, 2 dogs on the college football slate. And I mentioned a preview guide. I would imagine that's still available. How can people get a hold of that? Because, of course, next week, starting Thursday, we have NFL games to talk about. And I will say this, in my experience with the preview guide, just an invaluable asset, as attested to by a gambler's degenerate dream. The polyman who turned me on to it, as I said at that meeting a long time ago at I think, what was it? A PF Chang's might have been over there in Aventura. I don't know. Might have been a diner.
Might have been Houston's.
Yeah. Oh, Houston's. Yeah, that was it. And you turn us on to the guide, and it's just sensational. So how can people get their hands on this thing or access to it?
Well, it's on sale at Barnes & Noble's locally in town if they're still in stock. We have them still some in stock at our playbook offices. They're going out of our office. They're just flying off the shelves. It's our 30th anniversary of the magazine, and probably our best issue of the magazine. So if you want
Wow.
to get a copy, you can log on at playbooksports.com, and we'll be glad to get a copy shipped out to you that way. And also, this week we published our college football newsletter. Obviously, week number 1 of the full week, and we have seriously in-depth write-ups on every football game. I think it's the best issue that we've ever done as far as analyzing football games. You might want to check that out as well, the Playbook Football Newsletter. It's all available at playbooksports.com.
Nice.
Used to be a ploy, to sit there trying to read some book that made you look like an intellectual at Barnes and Nobles, trying to hit on, the hot chicks that might have been in there and look like you had, some kind of, inclination towards intellectual things. And it worked for me because I was reading the football guide, sitting in one of those, very nice, comfortable chairs there. And it was amazing. The other guys, they're reading Shakespeare and satanic verses and all of this stuff. And there I am with the football guide, and I've got babes on each armrest. It was amazing. So, great appeal
And
there.
here you are today for doing it.
Yes,
Exactly.
because they realize, hey, you can read all of this other stuff you want, but this is where you're going to be making some money, Jack, with the playbooksports.com football guide. All right, we'll look forward to next week, Mark,
Yes,
and
sir.
thanks so much for your insight into these two games, two dogs on the lonely theory, which
Yes.
I found fascinating. Thanks so much, as always, for joining us here on the show, and we'll talk to you again next week.
My pleasure. My pleasure as always, Defo. You and Mike be well. Take care, and I'll catch up with you next week.
All right, Lawrence.
All right,
Thanks.
sounds good. Mark Lawrence, ladies and gentlemen. Only the lonely. That's the second week in a row he's come up with a new theory.
I love that. I don't remember the theory last week, but I definitely love that one, and I miss his theories. His theories are
Yeah.
always entertaining.
The
and
leaking
they-
oil, the Exxon Valdez. I mean,
Yeah.
that's always a good one. Teams
Yeah,
that are leaking oil.
Yeah.
Redheaded stepchild. He's got a lot of redheaded stepchild. And double revenge. I always love that when he gets into some of these things, during the course of the season. All right, that's Mark Lawrence, playbooksports.com. Puts out this cup of coffee thing that's also great. You can access online, so check it out. Just log on to playbooksports.com, and you get Mark Lawrence, the real deal. He's not pushing anything, just giving you the kind of tools that you need to work with to get the job done. All right? You may as well go in armed, right? I mean, that's the way society is today.
Yes.
Why go in on the blind there? Hey, my friend Joe says Penn State can't lose. I mean, forget about that. Do your own research.
Exactly.
Mark Lawrence can help you out with that, playbooksports.com. All right, so Mike Mayo is coming off a marathon sandwich-eating quest there. He went Joey Chestnut on us and consumed 51 sandwiches in the span of a month. We realized then that Jim Sarney, former Sun Sentinel sports writer and big fan of the shows here, major asset with all of the input that he has. And he is the Svengali to Mayo, who will do whatever daredevil type of thing that Sarney suggests.
Honestly.
If Sarney said, hey, I want you to go skydiving, no parachute, there would be Mayo flying
I would
out of
go,
a plane. Yeah.
Honestly.
So, and I think he went crazy on this because, we were going to be on like 23 days out of the month. So 23 would have been fine, right?
Yes.
Who can eat more than one sandwich a day? I guess we used to be able to do that, right? I used to bring like 3 London broil sandwiches to work when I was working at Shea. But that was a kid. I had a metabolism.
Exactly.
A whole different thing. All right, he's going to join us here at the Gambling Gourmet. A little food and sports combined coming up here on the Defo Show. That's Mike Lubie Lubitz. I'm Jeff DeForest. Back with Mike Mayo in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Les Mayo has his own show now, which is a giant hit. That Les Pondas episode got a very intense response. It was fantastic. A wide variety of people weighing in. It is 8:43.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
We have the Gambling Gourmet with us, Mike Mayo.
Well, yeah, and you know me, when it comes to like pro football, I usually like to sometimes handicap games on which is the better food city. Where would I rather eat in? My mom, God bless her, 88 years old, and she follows some football, and we do a family pool where we make picks, and usually her is based on which city she would rather visit or live in.
Okay.
But college football, for me, it used to be, I always thought that the quality of the football team was in inverse proportion to the amount of teeth in the crowd. So, like,
Grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. We wind things up on this Degenerate Friday with a man who is slowly achieving international acclaim and superstardom, and was the feature cover story in Surf and Turf magazine this month's edition.
What's the Surf and
You change the name
City
every
and Shore?
Oh, City and Shore. I never know.
City
what it
and
was.
Shore.
Yeah.
You're like
It's one of those clever titles. Yeah.
every time you take
Soup and Sandwich magazine. I would
Soup and
Exactly.
Sandwich magazine, the Gambling
Popular
Gourmet, Mike
time.
Mayo joins us here on the show. No, that was a nice piece on you. I mean, it was fantastic. Talking about, your 31 years at the Sun Sentinel?
Yeah, and they called it the afterlife of a dining critic. So
Yeah.
I didn't know I was dead, but I guess I do have an afterlife.
You're making a comeback. You're making
After
a big
51
comeback.
sandwiches, I should
Yeah.
be dead. And now I'm embarking on the opposite extreme of trying to drop. What's the final number? I got to make
He
226
said
and a hook.
227 down from 238. Just 11 pounds.
No, you said 226 and a hook is the number. So if I come
Should be,
in at
okay.
226,
226,
I'm winning
you win.
something.
Yeah.
Maybe I win
Well, we'll
one
take
of
you out
those-
for all-you-can-eat buffet, of
No,
course.
take me out for an acai bowl. One of those like kids, those vegans eat those fruit bowls or something
Yeah.
like that. So
But you turned over a new leaf. I mean, which is really admirable on your part. You're doing a lot of exercise now. I know
Walk
you're.
of life.
no, I was
involved in a
looking
walk
at
of
my
life. Yeah.
I was looking at my iPhone, the health data, and it said trends are favorable. I'm like,
Oh, yeah?
yeah, just like
In terms
in the
of what?
last 3 weeks,
Wagering?
I've been going. No, that's been very unfavorable lately,
Yeah.
unfortunately. No, just in terms of the amount of miles that I've been putting on, it just says for the last 3 weeks compared to the previous 22.
Oh, yeah.
I'm up like 300 and something percent. So that's
if you
good.
walk to the fridge and back, I mean, you would be increasing your exercise output.
No,
for
well
the
now
last
and
few months.
and the other trends, and I'm not going to weigh myself every day like
No,
someone
I
wants
don't do
me
that.
to.
That's foolish.
But
Wow.
I wanted to just see if I'm on the right track because yesterday was the first day of. I basically was good, and I cut out the carbs, and all I had was vegetables, and I had a salad for dinner. I had
Oh
some
my
sliced
God.
turkey breast. I had a lot of fruit. I did kind of cave as I was watching that Pitt game. Because it was an exciting game, but then I made the trip to the freezer. I have a little bit of ice cream.
Couple of
left.
brats, maybe.
Well, no, I said I was gonna just have like 2 spoonfuls of the ice cream, and next thing I know, 8 ounces later.
a half
but-
gallon later. Yeah.
But even
You're
that,
into the chunky monkey, which you were saving for like the holiday.
the mint chip, the Tillamook mint chip,
Yeah.
excellent product. But I
All
got to
right,
get
so
all
what was
that
the
stuff.
bottom line, man? You
Well,
actually
the bottom
lost
line is
weight doing it? Get out
I
of
lost a pound. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm heading in the
here.
right
I think
direction.
you have a
So-
funky Don King scale there. Is Don
I
King's
know.
picture on the scale?
I
He used to
went
put
from
his toe on the scale there. And
238.2 to 237 flat this morning. So
Okay.
all right.
I'm not going to do that every day. I'm going to only weigh myself once a week, but I'm just going to do the right thing. and
You're on the right track. Which
get
which
all
is
the
good.
ice cream out of there. And the unfortunate part is I bought those, 2-for-1 Peronis at Publix BOGO
Oh, yeah.
last week.
Jesus.
You drank a couple
And
of
I got one of them in, like, one of the 6-packs is in the fridge now with college
Oh, the
football season.
beer.
I said,
Oh,
I'm
Jesus.
not going to, and it's staring me in the face every time I open the fridge. Is these cold beers just saying, drink me, drink me.
Exactly.
Especially watching all these games and
Did you watch
horse
it
races.
last night? I didn't realize that. I thought you were sort of distanced yourself from your passion for sports, which you claim that was never all that big to begin with, which
You
I
make
find
all these
surprising.
things up. Yeah, last night was a brilliant night for sports. I was hopping between the Williams sisters tanking in the doubles because I think Serena now realizes that she might have a shot in singles, and she doesn't want to clutter it up with having to
Venus
deal with
really was
she
a non.
well, she did her sister a solid. That was it. It's like, come on, sister, get me out of this jam.
When do you see Venus Williams just ducking on like a guy? The opponent hits a duck right there at the net, and she ducks out of the way and lets it land and bounce twice.
Yeah, no. So there was that, and then I was watching Mets Dodgers, and the Mets are that looks like a playoff.
You're a Met fan
preview.
still?
Yeah.
Yep.
When they're still ahead in August and they don't fold like a cheap tent, then I'm a Mets fan. I've been watching. So and again, how could you not like a team that has the major league foodie as that Mark Canha, however pronounces that name, but he's the I guess outfielder or sometimes first baseman, but he's a major. We were talking. I've got to get him on the Lunchbox show when they come down here in mid-September. Maybe go out for get a little meal or interview with him because he likes going to all these top flight first class restaurants. So so nice. I like the Mets. I'm rooting for them, and they look good. And then I was, how could you not watch? I knew Joey was up. I heard Charlie Partridge saying he mentioned that Joey was at the game. I knew he was going in there with the family of Siragusa, and that was an exciting game. It was a barn burner.
It really was a good game. Yeah. I was back and forth. I watched all the Serena thing. I thought that 17-year-old kid on the Czech team that beat him, acquitted herself very well under the circumstances because she was hitting some bullets, that could have gone either way. I mean, that match was one of those things. You think Serena tanked so she could get to this thing tonight? Because she could have just,
I meant to
dropped out
bring
of it.
that up yesterday. The fact that they were playing doubles for the first time in forever, because I think
it was kind of nice, though, wasn't it? I mean,
I think she figured
cynical as I am about it. Yeah.
I think what her thinking is by this point in the tournament, she was already going to be long gone from the singles, and why not have one more night in the limelight because she is a diva, and then when she actually made it through these first two rounds and maybe has a path that might lead her to the semis against Coco Gauff, and that's what Jim Sarney told me would be a semifinal matchup. Between the youngster from Delray Beach, Coco, and potentially Serena. But once she realized that she might have an actual shot in the singles, that said, let's get rid of this doubles garbage. And sure enough, that's what happened. They got bounced. Hey, I got lots of picks. This is an action-packed weekend.
Selections?
Yeah, I got selections.
I didn't know you were that deep into college football betting.
I am, all in, my friend. When I'm in Gambling Gourmet mode, I have enough of the food. And now, I told you yesterday, now that I'm not going to be eating or drinking for the next 3 weeks, I've got to have some intensive gambling here. So that's the only thing that's going to.
It's the only way to fill the void of the pleasures of food. Is to just degenerate, even if you lose. At least you get that same anxiety that that rush and adrenaline rush that you have when you're thinking about diving into a beautiful dinner somewhere in some fancy schmancy place that you frequent.
Right. So, but I didn't realize Giselle was going to be back on the market. Maybe I could start making putting some.
It looks like she eats a ton. I mean, Giselle, I don't know that you're taking her out to dinner. I mean,
I could break her.
The anorexic girlfriend. Yeah. I mean,
there are vegans that I've dated that have by the second week they were slathering down. They were just like chomping down on the ribs at Flanagan's. It's great. I love turning people.
Yeah.
So
I had a girlfriend that didn't eat. She really did have like this sort of anorexic, just fringing right there on the borders of being a complete anorexic. And she would take out like one leaf of lettuce and spray it with fake butter or something. And that was it. You'd say, that's it. That was it. So it was a waste going to all of these fancy restaurants.
I don't trust people who spray their food. That's a
it was kind of hard to watch there. There were always a lot of leftovers. I didn't have to worry about her diving in unexpectedly. All right, what do you have for us on the college slate? I'm very, very curious.
It's not the college slate. The first thing I want to tackle is today's the day I have to unveil my pick for the Dolphins. Am I going to go over? The season total? And this is going to be a fairly hefty wager. Well, it's going to involve another dinner, and it'll be after the season, sometime in January. But I guess it could be at Anthony's Runway 84 since it'll be
Oh,
reopened.
listen to
by
you. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
all of a sudden, you go for the bargain night at Tropical Acres, and they're giving you 2 lobsters for $35, enough to feed both Lubie and me. And I'm glad you told us to share when we were in there. And now we have to go to
you
Runway
each
84.
you each got your own entree. Don't give me a. All right, so I'm looking at the Dolphins schedule. The number is 8.5 for the season total. The New York Times had some computer geek do all the breakdowns for all the teams over under totals. They said the Dolphins would win 8.74 games this year. I don't know how you win 0.74 games in a season.
The mathematical equations. It's an odd number of games. Yeah.
They're either going to win 9 or more or 8 or less. But these computer geeks, they crack me up every time.
Okay.
But I'm looking at the schedule, and a little bit rough at the beginning with at Baltimore, Buffalo, at Cincinnati, but then they got this stretch of just cupcakes, and then it's murderous at the end. But if they rack up enough wins and eke out one little upset there, I think they get the number 9. I'm gonna go against type here because usually I'm the total cynic.
You'd be the first to bury him for sure.
No, but I'm going to get my pom-poms out and put on my Dolphin cap behind me, and I'm going to go all in and cheer for the Dolphins to hit the over. I'm rooting for wins. I'm rooting for Mike McDaniel. I'm rooting for Tua. I'm rooting for Tyreek Hill. I'm rooting against Stephen Ross, but we don't have to even see his ugly.
He's a non-factor, really, overall.
So I'm going to go over on the Dolphins for the season. And I don't know, do you want to just go against me, or would you?
No, you know what? We'll go ahead and pay off on the bet.
We agree with you.
But we will be rooting for you to win.
I'm going to root with you, yeah.
Because I believe they go over also. I think it's a total catastrophe if they go under the number that they won last year.
Yeah.
When they went out and clearly seem to have improved their chances on the offensive side of scoring points. And I'm rooting for McDaniel like you. He's the kind of character you'd like to see succeed. Because we asked this question the other day of one of our analysts, more likely to happen. Oh, David Furonis. David.
Yeah.
Of the Sun Sentinel now. He's
never met him, but nice guy. I like the way he sounds.
Good guy, yeah. And we asked him, more likely to happen, McDaniel to be carried off the field Lombardi style with the trophy after winning a championship in 3 years, or in a jacket that ties in the back. Because that could easily happen with a guy like that just eventually has mentally snaps, realizing that it didn't work. And he said more likely to win a championship. So I'm rooting for him to just travel that path and kind of, renovate the whole thinking when it comes to who should be a coach in the NFL and what type of guy. I guess, there's an evolution going on anyway, but away from the, drill sergeant type. But so I'm with you. We'll pay off on the bet. If you hit the over, we'll take you to dinner, Runway 84.
All right, 2 more picks.
No other invitees, though. I mean, I want to clarify that right now. Preseason prenuptial here. No Sarnies hanging out. We love
Sarni
Jim.
always
He pays his own freight. He pays his own
Sarni,
freight.
the amount of research that he contributes, I think he always gets to come along. So
now we're talking. I mean, look, the renovations. Who's going to pay for that?
Yeah, that's
you
true.
or Anthony? Yeah.
I'm afraid to see the pricing after the renovations.
You wanted a tomato with that? That's an upcharge. Hey, get out of here.
No,
the muscles.
Anthony Bruno is a good,
great
guy. A good restaurateur. He knows how to make people happy.
All right, what else you have, Mike Mayo?
I've actually got a college football pick, and I'm going into the belly of the beast. I'm going against the conventional wisdom of the show, which is always to take the dogs and the points. You know what? As much as you hate and loathe Serena Williams, that is basically the way I feel about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish football team.
I'm with you on that.
I loathe the Irish. They are always overrated. They are always overranked. They always get, just the benefit of the doubt. And, they're playing Ohio State. They're getting 17 points. I heard a previous guest, I think it was a professor, or who was it, saying, they have a new head coach and he's defensive minded and Ohio State's defense is terrible, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm going with Ohio State in a freaking blowout because first of all, I have my goddaughter.
You hate Notre Dame. That's a good.
I hate Notre Dame. Yeah. That's a good enough reason. My goddaughter goes to Ohio State. My ex-wife was a Buckeye. I have all these ties, and I get along with Michelle. I hate Michigan more than Ohio State. I don't wish ill will on Ohio State, and sometimes they do stumble and choke early in the year. I know that. I'll take that risk just because of my absolute disgust and loathing of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So taking the Buckeyes, giving the 17 points, and we'll see what happens. And
all right, I hate both of those teams, but I hate the Irish more. So
finally,
I hope you're right about that.
Right, though. I still think that's good.
And finally, it is a huge weekend of horse racing on tap. And you mentioned the Kentucky Downs Open, which is the most bizarre place, but I love that track.
How weird is that, though? When you think the race is over and then it still
yeah,
goes
but
on.
did you see? They've actually kind of fixed that, and they've gone first class. No, they've got Larry Colmus in to call the races.
Is great, yeah.
And now they've actually got a TV camera set up where they've mounted it high enough where they don't have to cut 4 times with the pan where you think the race is over, and it's like
but
the
wait,
there's more. But wait, there's more.
Yeah,
wait,
exactly.
there's another 70 yards. No, now they have one big sweeping pan shot. I was watching yesterday. I kept getting split and nosed on big tickets, but I still love it. Even when I lose at that place, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And they have $1 million race there tomorrow, which there's a horse named Atone, which I think is very fitting for us Jews going into the high holy days seasons. So I'm going to pick Atone in their big $1 million stakes there at Kentucky Downs tomorrow. That's the number 9, ridden by Tyler Gaffleone. I think Gaffleone had like 4 wins yesterday, and that's for Mike Maker, who also seems to be on fire there. So that's the Mint Million, the WinStar Mint Million tomorrow, 10th race at Kentucky Downs. Saratoga has a great race in the Gold Cup, and like half the field is Pletcher horses. I can't sort that one out, but it's a great race because like everybody there's no clear favorite. So whoever you pick, you're going to get a price of like 3 or 4 to 1. But then my sentimental play of the day, the Del Mar Derby. The main race there, the Pacific Classic, is unbettable because Lifeline looks every bit the part of the 1-5 chalk that he should be. It looks like the best horse in America besides Life is Good. But the race before it is called the Del Mar Derby, and we have the hunch play of the year, my friends. This is in honor of our friend Andy. The number 2 horse, Slow Down Andy. 8 to 1 shot.
Oh, that's
great. Say heart attack or something.
Well, every other day he's in the hospital. I'm very worried about the guy.
Slow down.
Very nice guy. Met him at the Best of Delray Beach party. And so I think the admonition to slow down Andy seems like a good one. 8 to 1, trained by Doug O'Neill, who's been on fire this Del Mar meet, and ridden by Mario Gutierrez. Number 2 in the Del Mar Derby, the 9th race. Slow down Andy will be my hunch play of the weekend.
Very productive.
Nice.
With the degeneracy this week, Mike Mayo. I congratulate you on that.
You.
Maybe it's new clarity that you're kind of getting towards almost immediately as you wean yourself off massive amounts of
fats
bread.
and carbs.
Fatty
I do feel
meats.
much clearer today. Yes.
No,
and the other thing is it's September. Now that Labor Day is upon us and summer is almost over, it's time
it's
to
a reverse
get
though.
serious.
Usually you take off the weight to put the bathing suit on in the summertime because you don't want to look like a French Canadian down there on the Hollywood Beach. And then you put on a couple of pounds in the fall. But this is admirable, Mike Mayo. All right, we'll catch you on the lunchbox.
Oh, I got him
later today. All right, you're gonna be on tap for that, right?
Of course, and then after that, we're going to be meeting for drinks.
Yes,
and the distribution of funds, which is always fun.
Oh, it's always a good thing. Yeah,
that's always my favorite day.
It's one way to get Lubie out to the track. Promise him that you have money for him.
Everyone knows that's my day. You'll see me.
He got mad at me last time because I wasn't paying attention to him while he was trying to explain what was going on to somebody. And I was like, "How can I pay attention to you? I'm screen to screen here."
Yeah, Defo gets a little bit absorbed when.
I'm there to gamble. I'm there to have a good time. I'm not there to sit there and talk business.
No, we got a whole day of
about?
action. Saratoga today, and then tomorrow the Kentucky. Tomorrow is a great day of racing. I'm just going to be
going to be a lot of fun.
College football and that. It's just
All right, as Ty Shrupp would say, may all your photo finishes be winning ones. And let's hope that we get hot today. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. We'll see you at 12:00 right here on South Florida Live. Thanks for being with us.
See you later, guys.
All right, Mike Mayo, ladies and gentlemen. All right, he's sticking to it, man. He got to the second day. Right.
I mean, look, for him to just gorge on ice.
He was eating ice cream last night at midnight watching Penn State.
It wasn't a good move. But that's all he gorged on. Game. I mean, for him, that's a move to only gorge on
minor,
not 6. I mean,
a half gallon of Breyer's, Neapolitan wasn't going to hurt Mike Mayo any after what he's been through over the last month. So that's a good one. I mean, we're rooting for the same thing that he is, and we have to pay off if we're right.
That would be as we'd win the bet.
It comes under the heading of what the fuck. Good way to end up a Degenerate Friday. Hope you guys had a lot of fun. We did.
Oh my God.
For Mike Lubie, I'm Jeff DeForest. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. We'll have something in the spot there on Monday. No doubt. We should have a replay of this show. It's a lot of fun. That mascot thing with the videos with the professor.
That was great. I'll promote today's show. Check out today's show Monday. Well, hopefully we'll be right about a lot of things. And if we're wrong, you can make fun of us.
Right. But great stuff from Mark Lawrence. Brilliant analysis. The professor is dynamite on college football.
The winning Partridge man.
The Greek and Charlie Partridge, fresh off the fielder. I mean, he was on the field just a few hours ago. Next thing you know, he's on our show. That was fantastic. And great stuff as always from Charlie. So we thank everybody who was with us on the program. And Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Tell your friends. Subscribe to South Florida Live on YouTube. That's what we need. The numerology, right? People are looking. They go, hey, you got any numbers? What the hell? So we need you guys to go ahead, tell your friends, subscribe on YouTube to South Florida Live. Please do that. For Mike Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. We'll see you at 12 here on South Florida Live.
Yes.
And don't forget, too, our Believe podcast, BLEAV. That's a Believe Podcast Network. Loaded up today, 11 o'clock?
Iron Man.
We'll have Iron Eagle, and he's always brilliant. So I think you guys will enjoy that as well. For Mike Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time as we leave you know that. Have a great weekend, by the way. I love Labor Day weekend. Any 3-day weekend is a good thing for me.
Have a great and safe weekend.
All right, we'll see you. Thank you, Johnny. It's 9:05.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.